Hi, Courtney. I can't hear
Hi,
you.
Anne.
Well, I can hear you. Hello.
I'm here.
Hi, Walt.
Hi, Walt.
And I just spoke with FPNL. They were having a little technical issue getting in, but she said they should be back with you in just a minute or two.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. We are having quite a few people joining, which is great.
Good news. I hope everybody gets the answers they want.
There's Mike.
Hi, Walt.
Yes,
It's Janet. I'm in.
okay. How are you doing, Janet?
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Janet, I know we have to do the rest of your FPNL in there.
Yes, they're in. Most of them I could see their names. So
Okay.
I think we can get started, Walt, if that's okay for you. Should we get started?
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
So we start with FPNL. Thank you very much for joining us today for our HOA meeting. We've been looking forward to meeting with you and getting updates and receiving some answers for the projects that are ongoing in our neighborhood. So we really appreciate you taking the time. We know it's been busy with storm season, so thank you very much for joining us. Should we go ahead with the overhead project first? The overhead upgrades?
sure, we're good with that.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Ann Bao. I have, I guess, the main account, so it doesn't show my name. My name is Ann Bao. I'm the VP of the HOA, and I work closely with Walt on infrastructure issues. So FPNL and power issues are part of my responsibility on the board.
Great, thank you, Ann. And I'm Janet, and I've been working with Walt now since October of 2020. Providing him with updates, the ongoing updates based on the concerns that the residents had in your association with the service. And that started in October of 2020. Now, since then, we have two groups on the line, by the way. We have the engineering side of the group that works with the existing services that you all have out there with the existing overhead services. Those are the jobs that I've been communicating with Walt with the improvement opportunities that you've seen our contractors out there working on the overhead lines. And also you've seen our vegetation team working alongside with our contractors addressing the improvement opportunities that were identified when we first received the concerns from your neighborhood. Since then, we have designed work in the area where we have finished two of the neighborhood lines that are on the far south side of the community. We just finished in September the work on the furthest south neighborhood line that is between Northeast 72nd Terrace and Northeast 72nd Street. All that work that we had identified that qualified for improvement opportunities. There was several locations in total. I want to say there was 12 locations that were identified where we had poles replaced, we had transformer upgrades, we removed open wire secondary, which helps improve the reliability in the area. And we also had a lot of vegetation, line clearing done in that lateral line. They're known as lateral lines, but to you all, you probably hear more often the term neighborhood lines. We finished the work there on September the 9th. And right now, the next other lateral that we did, we finished that one end of July. And that was the lateral that falls between Northeast 74th Street and Northeast 73rd Street. That's all, we did all the work there. And again, the same thing, we had transformer upgrades, splitting or balancing loads, removing the open wire secondary, which helps with reliability improvement. And we also had some pole replacements in the rear of some of the properties alongside with vegetation line clearing. Since then, we've been communicating to Walt, or I've been communicating to Walt, that we were working on 2 other neighborhood lines. The one furthest to the north, that's between Northeast 77th Street and Northeast 76th Street. That's the overhead line. We do have a design job there that had been submitted to City of Miami for permits. Due to the fact that we had to replace a couple of poles that are out in the right of way. We submitted those permits in July, and we just got word today that these permits will be ready for us to release over to our contractors more than by the end of business day tomorrow. That's for that lateral line all the way up on the north side of your community. And then the other one would be further down to the north for the lateral line between Northeast 73rd Street and Northeast 72nd Terrace. That lateral line also was in permitting stages since July, and we just also received word today that the City of Miami will have a permit released for us by end of business day tomorrow. That said, each one of those 2 lateral lines does have quite a bit of improvement opportunities that have been designed. One of them, you're looking at about 8 weeks worth of work, and another one about 5 weeks of work. Once we get those permits, we can go ahead and release them to our resources lead for allocating our resources to head out there and start the work. We're coming into the holidays. There will be a time frame that the city won't allow us to do work. It's called the moratorium, and therefore, due to the time frame that we need to finish this work and allocate the resources, the holidays, we also have challenges with this type of work, being the fact that some of these neighborhood lines are in the rear of homes, inaccessible areas, so it takes some time to coordinate to get back into the properties. Also, we have to coordinate outages, as you probably have experienced in the first 2 lateral lines that we've just completed. We were looking to possibly complete all of this work by end of first quarter 2022.
Okay.
So that's all the work that we've been doing out there on the engineering side, the distribution side that I've been communicating with Walt.
Got it. Okay, great. That's I think really helpful for us to hear which lines have been completed and which lines are still in progress, and the time frame for completing that work, and where it's been stuck. So I think we all appreciate hearing that update.
You're welcome. One thing too that I'd like to add, once we award the work to the contractor or the subcontractor that's going to be doing the work in the area, as you probably also experienced, there was some lane closures that were required so that they can park their trucks and do the work and have safe access for the traffic to flow. That's going to be the same practice that will be used for these 2 lateral lines that are left to work, and those require permits that are submitted directly from the contractor to close the lane for a period of time. So we're also going to have to experience a, further time frame, because they'll have to submit to the city and get their lane closure permits. And that takes a while right now. It's my understanding that it's 3 to 4 weeks typically from the time that they submit the request before they actually get the lane closure permits. So again, we're running into the holidays, outages, challenges to be, for the inaccessible areas, and this MOT permits that are required for lane closures. We're again, I'm bearing any other unforeseen circumstances. The proposed date for this all to be done should work by end of first quarter of 2022.
Got it. Okay. Okay. That, it's helpful to know, where the time goes into and, permitting and things like that. So thank you very much for giving us those details in terms of how much time it may take and what delays, might be in those works. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, and does anyone have any questions for the overhead projects that are going on, the overhead improvements?
And I'd just like to ask if Janet could explain the process for the notification, because that seems to be a constant concern for some of the neighbors. When you give us
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you're very hard to hear.
Okay, a little better now, Ann?
Yes.
Okay, Janet, I'd like to see if you can explain the process for the notifications when FP&L is going to be doing work. Typically, I know you try to give us notice and we go ahead and put that out on our Google group and our social media, but some of the residents were concerned that they were not getting the information timely, and I want to see if you can just explain that process.
Are you speaking of the outage notifications, the planned outages to do the work? Yes. Well, the practice is for the contractor, general foreman, to identify how much time he's going to need to do the work that he has to do on any given day. Whether it's replace a transformer, whether it's a reconductor, a span of wire. It all depends how much time he needs. Now, once he's identified how much of an outage he'll need, it is his responsibility to follow our process, which is provide reasonable time frame to the customers that are being affected by either door hangers. They have what we call an outbound notification system that they also submit. And it's like an automated system that contacts the customers that are being affected by the preferred method of communication that each customer has selected on their personal accounts. It could be an email, it could be a phone call, it could be a text. So it's the customer's responsibility to stay upbeat with the form of notification that they have selected for each individual account. We ask the contractors to be sure that they provide at least a 24-hour notice, for a planned outage to allow everyone, to plan accordingly. That is the process that we practice for outbound notifications for planned work.
Okay, thank you. And I just want the people to be able to hear it from you, because there's sometimes some miscommunication, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Mm-hmm. It is important that each account holder has, information on their account that's accurate, like, good phone numbers, a good email, whatever method they select, they should make sure that they have the most current contact information on their accounts, and they can go in online and make those changes as they wish.
Okay. And back to you then.
We can certainly.
It's Mike. I have a question, Jan.
Yes.
Hi, Janet. Thank you. It's Mike. I'm the treasurer. I came in late. Could you give me an update between the lines between Northeast 73rd Street and Northeast 72nd Terrace, what that time frame was?
Sorry, can you repeat the numbers?
Yeah, Northeast 73rd Street and Northeast 72nd Terrace, that lateral.
The time frame for that would be, for all the work to be done by end of first quarter
Okay,
of
great. Thank you.
2022.
All right, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the overhead improvement work that FPL has been doing and work ongoing?
Oh, I guess I would ask, have you noticed that, has FPL noticed a difference in outages with the new protected laterals versus the older and with the updated transformers? Has there been any anecdotal improvements?
Well, we were hoping that at the end of completing all of the 4 different laterals that we identified improvement opportunities, we would get together with our reliability team and pull some data from the date that we finished each and every one of these laterals to that to a current date, and compare to what kind of outages were you having prior to your community contacting us back in October of 2020. I do receive on occasion some information from Walt, as far as outages are concerned. And I'm sure, and Walt and I have discussed, there has been a significant decrease in the outages in the community, especially after the vegetation was addressed, which was all done January of 2021. And then we went back out in March, where more trimming was required for our contractors to work.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a brief question, Janet. We've been experiencing throughout the neighborhood power surges that seem minor enough where not everything goes off, but only parts of the appliances or the lights flicker. Is that related to any of the work that you're doing right now?
Well, we would have to take a look and see, those momentary, flickers you're speaking of, what days, and compare with our data and see if it's related to the work in progress that we've been doing in the area. Now, our system is designed to have these momentaries and flickers as part of the protection that we use for our power lines, to allow the faults to clear anything that comes in the lines, whether it's a palm frond or a bird or a lizard or something. The system is designed to have those. Obviously, when there are too many of them and it's daily and it's multiples on a daily basis, they become a nuisance, then there's a problem. And then at that point, it's best to let us know and we'll do a visual patrol of the area. By the way, I do have the area engineer on the line with us too, that we'll introduce, I guess at some point, we'll introduce them all to everyone. Will introduce each other just so that we're all here and we're all listening. And any additional concerns that you already have voiced out to us, that they'll be noted and jotted down and addressed accordingly.
Great. Okay. So if there's a few surges, say within an hour or so, if there's 3 surges within 1 hour on a day, but then nothing else for a few weeks, then that's maybe just part of the system. Yeah.
There could be switching going on. There could be other things that will interact with this type of experience that you're talking about. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And hi, this is Matthew Atcatz. I'm also on the board. Just a question about that. I'm on the 73rd Street lateral. Just over the last few days, there have been some partial surges. Is it possible that certain equipment in my home could be affected and not others? Like it wasn't a total, not everything went out. Does that sometimes happen? I'm just trying to understand what we're experiencing.
If you're experiencing surges just on certain appliances, it's highly unlikely for it to be related to anything with FPL service.
And then what could it be related to? Because several people, you know, experience the same thing on the same day, on the same time frame.
On just certain appliances?
Well, not appliances, but like, you know, our homes today are, we use a lot of electronics, right? So electronics are usually pretty sensitive devices. They'll restart if there's a change in voltage, but things like lights didn't, you know, turn off. Air conditioner units didn't turn off, but, you know, a lot of us experienced like consumer electronics rebooting or shutting down, starting up.
Well, I mean, if Walt wants to get some of these addresses to me, I mean, all of you can, you know, have my number, provide me with those details, and we can further look into it with our power quality team and see if anything is related to any of our facilities. That would require further research.
That would be good to know.
Mm-hmm.
And we can certainly pull that together and provide that to you, because that has been strange, you know.
Yeah, and it's, I guess it's just also tough as a homeowner when we're not part of the upgrade, but we're experiencing, you know, new faults and failures due to the upgrade of other infrastructure elsewhere.
Okay, any other questions for Janet on overhead improvements? If not, then I think we can move on to the Storm Secure project.
Hey, good evening. My name is Javier Prado. I'm the project manager for the Storm Secure Underground program within Miami-Dade County. Currently, we do have a project in construction within Belle Meade. It started construction last month and it's underway. We're right now in the process of directionally drilling all of our conduit that's being placed in the ground. We do anticipate completing this project before the end of the year, and removing the overhead lateral might extend into January of next year. This project is the 1.63 miles and 219 customers. It's the middle part of Belle Meade, also along Belle Meade Boulevard and also Belle Meade Island. So right now, anything you may be experiencing with regards to reliability issue is not being caused by our program, because we're not yet converting customers. But when we get to that stage, we do notify all of our customers 48 hours in advance when we're going to make the conversion from overhead to underground, and we will coordinate the outage with you. So you're aware, you could plan for it and be ready for it. And we do anticipate completing the underground portion mid to late December.
Okay. And how long will those outages be, roughly?
Each one is 4 hours maximum. Sometimes it's less though. Most of the time it's less.
Okay. Got it.
That is planned and coordinated with the homeowner.
And so far, the project is going according to plan. There's no issues.
Yes, according to plan, it was delayed because of permitting. It took a long time to obtain all the required city of Miami permitting. We wanted to start it earlier in the year, but we couldn't, and we started it last month.
Okay. Anyone have a question just about the progress report that we just heard?
Yeah, I had a quick question. Hi, it's Matthew Atkatz again, Belle Meade HOA. In earlier versions of the plan, there was requests for easements of homeowners in order to put like junction boxes on customers' properties. Can you tell me in the final plan that's now being built out where that landed? Are the junction boxes in fact on homeowners' properties, or are they in the swale area?
Easements are used to install pad-mounted transformers, and yes, all transformers are within an easement. Either it's an existing platted utility easement or an easement that the homeowner signed off on. The junction boxes are what gets attached to their wall where we make the connection. We do not need an easement for that. We just ask you to sign off consent that you agree to us converting your service, and we will be installing this junction box, which is much smaller, typically placed near your existing meter can. But easements are for transformers, and yes, they are still an easement, not in public right of way.
Okay, got it. Thanks so much for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the underground project? And we're just talking progress report right now. Where they're at, the time it's taking. No questions? Then I will continue with the questions we posed in advance, which is the reason for not including the rest of Belle Meade. Why not the entire neighborhood is included in this project?
Because
you
it never completed the customer outreach successfully. So we couldn't advance with construction.
Say
Now,
that
it
again.
doesn't- We
Say that
did
again.
not, we did not complete customer outreach successfully.
Okay,
So
that
meaning,
means,
what it means, we did not obtain all the customer consent we needed for easements and even junction boxes.
Hmm.
So that does not mean we're not going to do it, right? We're just not doing it right now. We will revisit this neighborhood, and we're actually going to revisit the entire main power line that Belle Meade is connected to. And we will, at that time, resume and address all of the laterals connected to this main power line.
Well, can I clarify something with you, Javier? I know initially when we had this discussion, the issue at that point was that FPNL stated that they were going to do the project in another area. There was never any indication that we did not have enough homeowner approval, because we also did outreach, and we have a very high percentage of homeowners who were affected and were very willing to sign off on the service. So I'm trying to figure out where the shortfall came in, because that's not what the community is telling us.
Mr. Allen, at that time, the project was not had not completed outreach. It was still in progress, so it did not complete outreach successfully. And yes, a lot of people are in favor, but we did not get all the consent we needed. So the project is on hold until that feeder or that main power line is selected for our program. And at that time, we will then resume outreach and essentially restart the project. So you will all get another opportunity at being part of this program. And hopefully at that time, we get the consent we need, the easements we need, and we will be able to advance into construction.
Okay. Can you tell me what percentage of participation you got when you determined that we were not meeting the outreach goal, and what was the actual outreach goal?
The outreach goal in terms of easements is in the 30 plus easements. I believe we only got around 10 to 11.
only about a third that you got. So you telling us that 60% of the customers that were asked to put easements in their front yards didn't sign off on it?
Correct. And even those that have existing platted utility easement, well, we already have the legal right to use and leverage that area, we're still opposing it.
Hmm.
So this is a program that is a joint effort between FPL and all the customers. So if we get opposition, if we feel like customers aren't interested, we're not going to advance.
Okay. That's I feel it's a bit surprising, that high percentage, because every time this discussion comes up on any of our channels, everyone is always in favor. So I'm surprised. And I'm also surprised because it still goes along with when we met 2 years ago, I think it's exactly 2 years ago, with FPNL, those streets were already not part of the project. That's when we first found out that 72nd and 73rd and half of 74th weren't going to be included. And that's when we started trying to get those streets included, and the teams came around asking for signatures. So somehow the same streets, the customers aren't in agreement. I find that very strange.
Correct. So the issue that we face all the time is that, yes, people are all in favor. However, nobody wants that transformer in their house. I
Hmm.
won't say nobody, that's a little too much, but a lot of people do not, are, although they are in favor, they don't want the transformer on their property. So that is the main issue where we may have to put something on hold and do at a later time.
Do you have a time frame for when this might start up again and you might ask for signatures again?
Yes, based on our projections right now, we're looking at 4 to 6 years.
4 to 6 years
Yes.
until you even attempt to get
Re-
signatures again.
Correct, until we restart the design and customer outreach phase.
Okay.
If
And
you
we
got
start the same way.
signatures before 4 to 6 years, would that make an impact on getting the underground power lines?
No, because our selection criteria is based on reliability data, right? And now we are working an entire feeder at the same time, and we are doing all of the laterals on it. So at the time when we started this, we were a pilot, and we were selecting individual laterals. So those within Belle Meade were all there at the time, but we had opposition, so we had to put it on hold and move on. But right now, that feeder, which has all the power lines within Belle Meade, is in the 4 to 6 year time frame.
But there was no opposition on the feeder that you guys initially needed to get to the island, huh?
That feeder, that is not a feeder, that is a lateral, and there was not opposition there. I wouldn't say there wasn't opposition, but we still got all the easements we needed. So there's actually 2 power lines right now under construction, or that are being converted to underground. And the one inside the island is not a separate power line. It's a power line that still goes through the mainland. It's all connected.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Yep.
If 72nd Terrace, which I understand is not part of the program anymore, is trying to get underground power lines before 4 to 6 years from now, is there anything we can do to start a campaign? And if you let us know when FPL will be knocking on people's doors, we could also try to educate neighbors on the benefits of doing this. And so maybe they'll be more willing to sign on to the agreement. And then maybe we can do it before 4 to 6 years. Is that a possibility?
We're regulated by a Public Service Commission, and that is our selection criteria that they approve. So although I'm saying 4 to 6 years, it's really 4 to 6 years of subject to approval by the Public Service Commission. There are other feeders with worse reliability that need to get selected first. However, when we do start, your ideas that you just shared are wonderful and great. Anything you could do to help us and become an advocate would definitely help.
Well, if we know the timing of when you're going to do it, because, I'll be honest, when people come to my house, they don't say they're from FPL. They're like private contractors. You don't really trust them. And then they ask you to sign something, giving an easement. And it's, again, they're not from FPL. They're just random people who are on a power truck. So yeah, if we could have a heads up, then the board could at least notify neighbors that this is legitimate. It is through FPL. What you're signing is for, it's for a legitimate purpose.
Correct. So we do start our outreach by mailing all the customers a letter saying, hey, you've been selected. It's kind of high level just for awareness. We follow that with a folder that has a lot more detailed information about the undergrounding process, the junction box, transformers, the type of equipment we install. After that folder is mailed, then we actually start the customer outreach, where our outreach team contacts each and every single customer by any sort of means, in person, phone, text message, email, whatever it takes. And we do use a contractor, and it's Mastech. So you will know in advance when your neighborhood is selected.
I'm just saying, just to let you know, the last time when allegedly 72nd Terrace was selected and only got you 30% of homeowners to sign, I do remember when people came to our house and it just seemed kind of shady. Like, I knew, because I'm on the board, that this was happening. So we agreed to sign off, but I could certainly understand other neighbors saying, who is this person asking me to sign an easement? I don't really believe this is FPL. Because again, it wasn't people from FPL, it's just private contractors.
It should have already received the letter, followed by that folder that I mentioned with more information, and then the outreach should have started. But we do have one project going on. I hope it's going to be a big success, and it's a large project. It's our largest one in all of Miami-Dade County this year. So hopefully that also helps the neighborhood in the future when we reselect the power lines within Belle Meade.
So when you say, I'm sorry, I'm still confused about this reselection process. Can you explain? So it gets selected based on reliability, correct?
Yes.
So initially, we were not selected for reliability, even though we had frequent outages. Then after our meeting, FPNL agreed to include our part of the neighborhood, or aim to include our part of the neighborhood, and the outreach was done. And then customers, 60% of people didn't sign up or didn't sign on to the easements. And so you had to abandon it. And now we got the overhead approved, which will hopefully get us better reliability. But then in order to qualify for the underground project, our reliability may be too good. So we may not be selected for quite some time. And even though the 4 to 6 years that you're mentioning, is that based on, what is the 4 to 6 years based on?
Current reliability data.
Current reliability data. So at that point, you're going to look into the reliability data for our neighborhood to see whether it is bad enough for us to qualify for the underground project.
Yeah, so the reliability data is dynamic. It changes from year to year.
Okay, based on the age of the equipment, is that?
Well, it's different factors, right? Reliability data, we look at hurricanes, right? Storm reliability, day-to-day reliability, and vegetation-related outages as well.
Okay. And then my other question is, since it's currently a pilot project, how do you intend to inform customers, even us that are not part of the project yet, but that might be in the future, how well the underground lines are performing? So, say the next hurricane comes in or storm, and, the people with overhead lines go out for 2 weeks, but the underground people stay on, or they don't. How do you intend to communicate that, in terms of the success of the underground project?
Well, it will be, if you have reliability related to the storm and you see that your neighbors are on overhead and you're on underground and you have power, that's a clear indication. But we wouldn't be providing you, after a project is completed, reliability data on how your power line is performing. It should just be something you see. I mean, we do keep track of it all, and our history with existing underground power lines is significantly better than overhead. But we're not going to be providing continuously providing data on the reliability of your power lines. I'm not sure if that's what you're trying to ask.
I guess I'm asking, the success of the underground project that you're doing currently, because it's supposed to be a pilot, right? And we've also heard in the past that based on how the pilot is going, we might be selected. So how do we find out how successful that pilot project might be?
Well, so far so good, right? We have a lot of work going on throughout the state. We converted over 130 miles of existing power lines, over 8,000 customers. That's in the whole state. We haven't had a storm, like a hurricane, since Hurricane Irma. So our equipment really hasn't been put to this test through a major hurricane. Nobody wants a hurricane to come by, but we can't avoid it. At some point, another hurricane will come by, and we'll gather more hurricane-specific reliability information. But based on historical knowledge, definitely underground performs a lot better than overhead.
Mm-hmm. So that's nice. Yeah, so I think, I speak for all of the people on the streets that are not included in the project that we're quite disappointed. And I guess my last question is, if the easements are such an issue with customers, what alternative, if any, is there to put the easements in the swale, for example?
Equipment.
The equipment, you mean like the transformers? Usually
I'm
that's
talking
not,
about the 10 by 10 foot easements that you're putting
Right.
into people's front yards that are, I think, the main issue with the opposition.
right, so we typically do not have enough room within swale areas to put it. We need to adhere to clearances from the roadways in different cities. And it's just a big challenge to put that in right away. Plus, that is a key piece of equipment
Mm.
and it is more subject to, like, you know, a car accident or something. So we really want to put transformers and have a permanent location for them. Because
Yeah.
the roadway, if it's in public right away, it could be subject to any sort of roadway improvement project, which our transformer could then be in conflict. So
Mhm.
then we got to find a way to move it, and then we can't. If we don't have a spot to move it, then we're in trouble there. So we definitely want to put all of our all of our transformers in easements within private property or within an existing platted utility easement, which is also in private property. Everything else, all of the cable, the conduit, handholds, any sort of splice boxes, that's all either beneath the ground or at ground level.
Mhm.
We do get that permitted and installed in public right away.
Mhm. And then I promise it's my last question. Have you considered for some of the properties to maybe put the easement between two properties so that the homeowner doesn't lose 10 by 10 square foot, but rather just half of it? Has that
That's
been explored
something,
at all?
yeah, that's a good question. We have visited that topic, but we have learned that customers may want to install a fence at one point and then the transformer's in the way. And then somebody's got to get it fully in their house, or you have a property with half of the transformer on your side, half on your neighbors, and then you sell the house and somebody comes in, they want to put a fence, and then it's the same issue.
Mhm.
We try not to do that for those reasons. It's usually customer related issues or maybe like future customer related issues.
Got it. Okay. Does anyone else have questions on this topic?
This is Matthew Atkatz, Belle Meade HOA. I have another question. Javier, you had said that this pilot program has been rolled out to approximately 8,000 homes. I'm assuming that's in the whole state of Florida. Is that accurate?
Yeah, in the whole state within FPL service territory.
Okay, so my question is, are there any other projects that have been installed to date or they're planned to be installed where a very small percentage of homes in a single community have been chosen to be upgraded and not a larger percentage? I mean, I guess what I'm asking is Belle Meade unique, or is this happening all over the state right now where you guys are coming through and going, hey, 50 houses in a neighborhood of 450 houses is going to get an upgrade and the rest won't?
No, it is nothing unique to Belle Meade. It is strictly based on reliability data throughout the entire state, throughout all of FPL.
But I guess if you're saying that it's based on data, that would mean that 74th Street power goes out more than 73rd Street. I mean, this project was always, one of the reasons that it was contentious for us is that it involves the island and passing through Belle Meade in order to get to the island. And that's kind of where the question is really grounded is there any other example of this in all of this FPL's project rollout that involves just passing down a street and not doing a whole neighborhood?
No, because if it's a lateral and it passes down a street, we're not going to work part of the lateral, but we're doing the entire power line.
So I guess we are unique, Matt.
It sounds like it. I mean,
I guess with regards to the island that's connected, has a power line connected to the mainland, but it's not unique in the sense that we picked it for that reason. No, we picked it based on reliability data. The logistics of your land and the island, sure, that's unique. But that has nothing to do with why we picked these power lines.
It just seems surprising that first of all, 72nd Terrace had a ton of outages, and that, it wasn't picked based on reliability data. And the second surprising thing, I think, to all of us is that somehow magically in our part of the neighborhood, we didn't have enough buy-in from the residents to put easements on their property. But in the section that was chosen, all of the customers put easements on their, agreed to put the easements in their front yards. That's just, it seems very strange and surprising to us.
I think that's the difficult part for us as a community to understand, is that our data supports that the streets that have the highest outages have been ignored.
Right.
And you've got 450 homeowners here who are all continuously talking to each other about when our power is up and when it's down. And the lateral that, as a community, we all know is the worst has been ignored.
I don't think it's been ignored. We just didn't complete customer outreach. So couldn't advance the
I
construction.
have a question from one of our residents. He posed a question: is there any plans to reduce the size of the transformers in the future, which would reduce the size of the easement, to perhaps make it more agreeable to people having these easements on their yards?
No, the transformer is a standard size. There's no intentions of changing it. All of our transformers are that size.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from our neighbors?
Yes, this is Crystal Ivory. I'm over on 72nd Terrace. I had a question. I just wanted to make sure that I understand the whole outreach process, because currently I have an easement on my property. I have a pole in my backyard. I did receive a letter from MassTech, however, saying that, someone was in the area and would come by, and no one ever came by. I was really waiting for this process and waiting for someone to come by, because as everyone has stated, 72nd Terrace has had horrible power outages. I think there's been 3 outages in the last couple of months, and 72nd Terrace have experienced the 2, and they're very long outages, maybe like 6 or 7 hours long. So I was really waiting for someone to come by. They never did. My question is, when you say outreach wasn't completed, are you saying that no one ever completed the process of coming to homes and asking homeowners, or no one agreed to having an easement on their property?
What I mean by that is that we did not obtain all the necessary easements we needed.
So again, I currently have an easement on my property, and I was more than willing to have a transformer or whatever is necessary, because I currently have, like I said, an easement. When I purchased my property, there was an FPL easement. I was, more than willing to do that, but no one ever came to my home. I got a letter saying that someone would come, but no one did come. So I'm wondering if there's other people like me who, currently have an easement. I kind of know that it may have been my property infected, but no one ever came by and asked me a question, or, asked for documentation or have me sign anything. So I'm wondering if there's other people on 72nd Terrace or in the area that did not receive underground electric service, if they're like me who waited, but no one ever came by.
Well, I don't know what happened. I apologize for the inconvenience, but we don't need an easement from everyone. And you're saying you have an easement in your property. If it's a rear of easement, that is not something we need. We need it to be accessible, or at least in the front of the house. Unless you have an easement that runs from the back of your house towards the front of the house, then we can leverage something on the side of it, but nothing in the back.
So
Yes,
again,
the question might also be, how many residents were you not able to reach directly to ask or get the signature?
exactly.
Were you able to reach 100% of residents?
I would have to find out, but I know that with regards to the easements, we did not get the ones we need, and we did try to contact them all.
Mhm. Another question I have from a resident is, how many transformers per street are needed? I guess it's hard to answer because of the length of the street, but I guess how many houses, I guess, do you need an easement?
It just depends on the loading and then the distance away you are from the transformer. But on average, I would say 6 or 7 homes per transformer.
Mhm. Thank you. Any other questions from any residents?
Hi, Ann. Hi, Ann, this is Angela Bledo. I'm also on 72nd Terrace, and Crystal, I agree with you. We got the notifications. We waited, obviously. You know, we run errands, go to work, etc., but no one ever showed up at the house for a formal sign off. So I'm in the same boat as Crystal.
So does that mean those homeowners wouldn't have been selected for an easement?
It's possible. We need transformers in like specific spots, right? If you're okay with it and so is your neighbor, that may not necessarily help us, right? We need to have one transformer every like 6 or 7 homes, more or less. If two neighbors need it, I mean, two neighbors are okay with it and they're next door to each other, it doesn't necessarily help out the situation. So like envision like a block, right, of homes, and you count down the line. Every 6 or 7 homes, there's gotta be one. So I don't know what happened with your specific house or your customer outreach specialist, but maybe we weren't trying to get an easement from you specifically, and that's why they didn't contact you. But it doesn't mean we excluded you either.
So I guess the bigger question is, if you were not able to reach a customer, was that an automatic no? So for someone like me, if you were trying to reach me, you know, and you weren't able to reach me, was that no because you could not reach me? Or was it, you know, a signed no? That's kind of my question.
Well, if somebody opposes, we do try to ask for neighbors.
Again, that's still not, I guess, addressing the question. If you did not reach a customer, was the answer no?
This is Arturo Perez. I'm the customer outreach lead. Just because if we didn't reach you, it's not because if we couldn't get a hold of you, it's not going to stop the project. What Javier is trying to say is, you know, each transformer takes at least 6 or 7 transformers. So basically, let's say, you know, you agreed to it, you agreed to an easement on your property, your neighbor agrees to an easement on the property, and you're okay with the transformer, but we still need, basically it's like completing a circle. We need to connect one end to the other end. So if we're going all the way around, and let's say we need 6 transformers, let's say on a 1 block radius, and 3 people say yes to the transformer, but then we cannot find the other 3 locations, then we cannot move forward with the project. So what happens is you know, we'll continue, we continue to try to find solutions on talking to other customers, other residents, you know, and try to find solutions for the transformer locations. So, you know, just because we couldn't get a hold of you and you said yes, doesn't mean that we're excluding you. It's because we just couldn't find all the locations that we need for the equipment.
Were the equipment locations provided to the HOA? You know, identified, and then a map that identified where they were supposed to go provided to the HOA?
I can answer that, and that answer is no. We specifically asked for that information, and that information was not provided.
Well,
Because that might have helped, right? If we could have
Right.
talked to the neighbors and helped discuss it with them.
I put this
Perhaps in 4 to
I-
6 years when we might be selected again, this is something that we could work more closely with FPNL on. I don't know how FPNL thinks about that approach to include
4 to
community.
6 years is a very long time frame for a community.
It is.
I mean, we'll have a vastly different group of people in a meeting like this in 4 to 6 years.
That's true too. But in
Right.
general, I think it would be worth considering that from FPNL to include the HOA or community, whatever community support is present at that time, because that should be helpful. Okay. Any other questions from the neighborhood?
I actually do have a question. Javier, is it because 72nd Terrace backs up to 72nd Street? Did you need buy-in from that side that you just weren't getting cooperation?
Yes. they do back up to the south side of it. It is the same power line, but that is not the only place where we had missing easements.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I mean, I know for a fact you would have had buy-in from everyone on 72nd Terrace because we do experience those outages on a regular basis.
Yeah, it does seem suspect that, you know, hey, we knocked on your door, so we didn't hear from you. And so that almost taken as a no instead of such a large project. You'd think there'd be multiple attempts to contact. All right.
Yeah.
And also, can you address the rumor or whatever that one person owns 4 houses and made an issue with FTL? Can you confirm or deny that?
No, we did not disclose customer information.
No, not names, just the fact that it happened. Because it's weird, like the 2 streets that the person allegedly owns homes on weren't included.
I don't have all the outreach center in front of me, but I can tell you that the majority of this project was in Belle Meade.
Right, yeah.
And also in Bayside.
Yeah.
Correct. So you needed the buy-in from Bayside as well.
Yep.
And obviously we didn't get that.
No.
Okay, any other questions?
Why did you need that for 73rd Street? The one with the lateral between 73rd and 72nd Terrace. Why did you need Bayside's approval for that?
It is one project that had 3 power lines on it.
Mhm. Yep. And out of those 3 lines, you got 60% of people saying no to the easements. That's what you're telling us, right?
Correct.
Okay, but you don't have information in front of you where you maybe didn't reach a resident that was chosen for the easement or even their neighbors, and where the no was based on not being able to reach the resident rather than getting a direct no answer.
No, I don't have that information.
Okay, but is that something that happens where you were not able to reach someone at all? They just aren't available, don't answer the phone, aren't home?
We
Can't reach
just, when we cannot reach a customer or resident, we send out letters. We have multiple letters that we send out. There's a moving forward letter. There's a last chance letter, especially where there's equipment that's needed to be placed. So, and, you know, we leave hangers. We make multiple attempts.
Got it. Okay. But I guess the question is whether, how many of the properties where you needed to put easements, you might have just not been able to reach that person at all?
Say that again, please. You broke up there at the end.
How many of, so 60% of the homes that should have gotten an easement or needed to get an easement in order for these streets to be included, of that percentage, how many of those were people that you could not reach, that you could not get an answer from, signature from?
We don't have that number. We could get that, but because we have it in our records, but the majority is it's not because they couldn't reach. We made contact.
Got it.
So
Okay.
Mr. Perez, hey, it's Matthew Adkats, Belle Meade HOA again. Is there any document that shows the full scope within the state of this pilot program?
a document you can it's a PSC filing, in the PSC filing that we do.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for us to understand the full scope of the pilot and look at the communities that were chosen throughout the state and compare the neighborhoods.
Hi, this is Frank from 73rd Street. I was told by multiple representatives at Maztec that there was one holdout. And so I feel like the information we're getting right now is not, there's a discrepancy. number one. Number two, I think having to wait 4 to 6 years is completely unacceptable. So thank you. That's all I really wanted to say. Any comments about that? Anyone? Javier?
Well, I don't know what to tell you with regards to what Mastec may have told you. We'll have to find out from them. But the 4 to 6 years is what's a part of the selection process for now, based on the feeders and what's approved by the PSC. So you will get another opportunity. We will inform you as much as possible in advance. And when the time comes, we will, if you want to be an advocate, we'll take all the help we can get.
So the bottom line is this project was contingent on Bayside and their participation, which we did not receive. So now we have to wait 4 to 6 years.
I don't know.
That wasn't brought to our attention, so it's just a shame.
Okay.
I just want to say something to my neighbor. I've lived in Belle Meade for 26 years, and I just want to say something. I'm one of the fortunate ones that's going to get the underground buyers and such, but it's a shame that people place aesthetics and selfishness before emergencies and need of this community. So whoever owns the 4 houses, I know who you are, but regardless, I want you to know that, we had an incredible opportunity to get the entire Belle Meade community underground. And I don't understand what the opposition is when you know that you're pushed out of your house for 6 to 8 weeks when there's a hurricane or when there's a huge power outage. So I really don't understand the logic. I'm trying to, I really am, as a human being, as your neighbor. So now, just because of this, our neighbors, especially the ones on 72nd Street that are affected the most, have to wait a ton of time for this project to continue with them. So I just want to put it out there that I just feel that it was really selfish.
Thank you, Grace. Any other questions? It's 7 o'clock. It's timing wise, the end of our time with FP&L, and police just signed on and we don't want to waste their time. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments for FP&L tonight?
Just one last question. It's Crystal Ivory. Is there anything that customers can do, right? So I know that there are ways in which I can put my own power lines underground. Is there any way that, customers can do that on their own to still be considered, or anything that can be done, by ourselves to help?
Well, if you are interested in converting your own service, which is just that last span from your meter to where you're getting power from, you would have to contact the service center, coordinate with them, and get your own electrician. If you're talking larger scale, like what we do, we put the whole power line underground, you got to get your city involved, and we do have a separate program, the overhead to underground conversion program, which is city-driven, municipality-driven, essentially customer-driven, but there is a cost, and there's a percentage of it that is paid by the city and municipality. So that is a completely separate program than our program.
So individually, so if I say, hey, all of the neighbors on 72nd Terrace, we decide to pay to put our power line underground. Currently mine is underground already, and I know 3 of my neighbors have underground power lines like next to me. If the rest of us want to do that, can we still somehow connect to the main power source?
Yeah, but it has to come from the city or municipality.
No, what I'm saying, you said that there's 2 ways. There's on an individual, you can pay an electrician. So I'm saying if, we decide to do that on our own individually.
The individual thing would just be the last span of wire from your power pole to your meter. So the power line running through your backyards is not going to be converted. It would just be that last, span of cable going to your meter, your service cable.
Okay.
Crystal, I also want to add some. This is Eduardo. I'm the engineering lead for Dade County with FPL. There have been occasions where HOAs were able to reach out to the overhead to underground program that Javier was referring to, And again, it's a shared venture between bigger entities, typically cities or villages and the like. But I have seen an occasional where an HOA was able to work with the overhead to underground conversion program to underground their entire area, including not just the lines in the back, but also the feeder lines, which is the lines that feed the power lines in the back. So that is an opportunity that can be discussed amongst you know, the HOA and their residents. And there, I would assume that there's a possibility that if you get everybody on your street to agree, that there can be some coordination with what we call the area, which are there's the service center, to have that work done. So that may be an avenue to accelerate your individual street if you're able to get your neighbors on board with that.
Thank you.
Any other last questions before we let FPNL go? Okay, and thank you all very much for attending, for answering our questions. I'm sure you can feel and hear our disappointment for the residents on those streets that did not get into the underground project, but we do appreciate you taking the time tonight to talk to us, give us an update. And we surely appreciate the overhead improvements. And thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. I feel your frustration, but I promise we'll be back and we'll do everything we can to, you know, make this better for you. Thanks again, and you know, have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I saw police earlier. Do we have our police force on? Maybe they left and will come back later. I don't see them anymore. I think they might have left.
I'll text them right now and see if I can get them back.
Yeah. And I know that Albert from the county might also not be able to be here today. So if that is the case, then we can move on for now until police signs back on.
Should we talk about the FPL and anything we want to do as next steps? Maybe try to talk to somebody else in FPL who knows a little bit more?
Either, yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty defeated right now. Walt, what do you think?
I think that's gonna be
Sorry, you're very hard to hear again.
I think that's gonna be a discussion that we need to have offline. I think the most
Can't hear you.
I think that's gonna be an offline discussion that we may need to have. The biggest part of this was reliability. We were supposed to get the reliability reports, and without that, you can't compare apples to apples, you know. So when we initially looked at this, 73rd Street was clearly one of the worst streets, yet it was one of the ones that was overlooked. So if they were putting this service on underground based on reliability, that should have been the prime contender, but it wasn't. So until we get the reliability reports, I don't think we can compare what they're talking about. I think at this point, let's get the overhead lines up and fixed, and then we go to that next step, whatever the new board decides they want to do.
Yeah, I almost wish the guy just said, look, we didn't choose you. We're choosing other people. You know, we'll try again next time. It just seems very untruthful, whatever he was trying to tell us.
I agree.
Just tell us the truth. You know, we didn't pick you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And the fact that that high percentage didn't agree to the easement, but the rest of the neighborhood, they had a
Right.
buy-in, seems just very odd.
Well, I have major issues with that assessment, Ann, but I didn't have the information in front of me, because when they did the walkthrough, I don't know if you recall, but I went out on the streets with Mass Tech to make contact with the neighbors that were on the fence or whatever and explain them what the benefit of the project was. And I don't recall very many people at all that were not willing to move forward with the project. I think initially they explained to us that it was a realtor on 72nd Street that was the problem, because they were not participating in the project, and that's why it fell off on 72nd Terrace. But I'm not sure why that affected 73rd and 74th Street.
Right, right. And you know, like I said, it's very odd that we were initially not selected, right? When we met with them 2 years ago, they'd already selected Belle Meade Island and the other streets. That's when this whole thing started. And it's just very odd. But I wonder if we can get all this paperwork through the Public Service Commission. Is there any way for us to review that? Can't hear you.
I think if we did a public records request to the PSC, you might be able to get that without owner's information, just maybe the address. But I think for privacy reasons, they may not give the owner's name. But I think the address is going to be sufficient.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I wonder.
I just heard from Commander Abreu. They're doing Morningside, and they'll join as soon as they finish.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, it just seems, I feel pretty powerless with this whole thing, you know, like we fought for so long. This all started 2 years ago when we found out about this, and it just seems like there's nothing we can do, you know? Whatever the reason might be, we didn't get selected, you know, or they had opposition, whatever the reason might be, it just seems like we can't do anything.
Yeah, I think we just need to try elsewhere within FPL, you know, and obviously there must be other avenues within FPL.
Yeah. I don't know how to go about that though, who to
I
contact.
mean, it seems like it would also be worth learning about this paid program through the city.
Yes, yes. I didn't quite understand exactly what he was talking about, but I did write it down. So that is something that we can potentially look into. Okay. Is it okay for us to move on? Oh, there's MPD.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm just waiting for them to connect. And we can get a police update. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Going
You
on
have
well.
any
How you
updates
doing
for
well?
us tonight?
Great. How are we doing, Commander? How are we doing, guys?
Excellent.
Hi.
We're doing good, guys. For the month of September, we really had no incidents. We had some back in August. Obviously, we didn't meet last month of September. So just obviously the stolen lawnmower, which happened at 666 Northeast 75 Street. And we also had a stolen vehicle that happened out of 1145 Belle Meade Island Drive. So those two incidents, the car still hasn't been recovered. We're working with auto theft on that. But besides that, for September, we had nothing going on inside Belle Meade. So
that was August, both of them.
And those were two incidents that happened in August.
Good news.
Any questions from anybody or any concerns?
What's gonna happen with the police chief?
He's no longer here.
Tell, go on, give us the real deal. What's going on?
We don't have the real deal, but Manny Morales is the acting chief now, interim acting chief.
This meeting is.
Yeah.
And we'd like to float our congratulations to the other Manny. He was very good to us when he was here in the Upper East Side, and we definitely want to give him congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll let him know.
You guys are going to be in good hands right now.
Yes, we will.
We got
relay
And thank you guys very much for all the work you do for us.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for everything.
Do you guys have anything planned for Halloween? Anything exciting in the community?
Yeah, we have a doggy parade, a
Oh,
doggy
okay.
contest.
That's
You
going to be
should
on
stop
Halloween
by.
day
What time?
The
It's gonna be on the 24th.
on the 24th. Okay, at what time is that going to be at?
It's 4 to what? 4 to 6.
4
I
o'clock.
believe
And
4 o'clock it starts.
Okay, and what where exactly is going to be inside Belle Meade?
The doggy park,
Okay,
right
doggy
on
park.
76 and 74, between 74th and 76.
Perfect. All right. You're a dog person. Okay. I'm a dog
Yeah,
person.
make sure you
Can I,
come with
can,
your
I, can I bring
canine.
my dog? Can I bring my dog?
Yeah, of course.
I got a husky. I want to bring her. She's awesome.
Yes, but you have to dress her up.
As long as she's in a costume.
He's already in a
fine.
costume.
I'll put her in a costume.
Thank you for
Thank you
inviting
guys.
us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And please bring your families or whoever you'd like. This is open to the public. Wear your civilian clothes. Just come have fun. It's always
Yeah.
a fun event there.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Walt.
Thank you.
And if you want to be a judge, let us know.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Sounds good.
We appreciate it. Be safe.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank
night.
you.
You too.
Okay. I'm looking for Albert, but I don't think he's on. Albert from the county. So we will move on. Matt, do you want to give an update on the security? Where is Matt? On the security?
Sure. I mean, it's not good news. The quick update is after a couple of months of waiting, the county did in fact come back, and after the original approval that we had to move forward with the cameras, we're now being told by the county that we cannot install the cameras. They kind of fell back. We were under the impression that they were going to be drafting some new rules around how a neighborhood would go about installing cameras, because the full context is that there are many communities that have special taxing districts in the city of Miami that have installed cameras, and they've done so by kind of just working and making it happen, and the county has kind of historically turned their back on it. But there are many communities, many special taxing districts that have entrance and exit cameras at their guardhouses. So unfortunately, we waited for 2 months under kind of the impression that the county was going to draft some, because we were told this was held up with lawyers in the county. We were told that basically we couldn't do anything until we heard back from them. So, optimistically, I think we as a board were imagining that there might be some new rules around a path forward to get cameras. But after 2 months of waiting, what we've just heard is it can't happen, and it cannot be included in the existing special taxing district contract. So we kind of just heard, we're in the same place as we were before. So it does not seem like there will be security cameras installed. And I wish I had better news.
Thanks, Matt. The only option for us to ever get cameras is to go through an amendment project where we would request an amendment to the contract.
It seems to me, it seems to me like either an amendment to the contract, and by the way, I'm not an expert on the legal side of like creating contracts with the county, but it seems like either an amendment would be one way, or the creation of a wholly new contract that says, this contract would be strictly for cameras. The challenge, though, is well, I think that's probably the way forward, would be to try and create a new agreement specifically for cameras. But the fact of the matter is the counties, this issue's been kind of out of sight, out of mind, and they have not really gotten into the modern era as far as that this needs to be addressed. But until then, it seems to me like what communities that want cameras have done is just kind of made it happen.
Yeah, they've basically flown under the radar with the county, looking the other way knowingly, and that's how it's been working out.
Yeah, I mean, look, we if you recall, we did have a provisional approval. The county said, hey, so long as it isn't part of this, contract, it's fine by us. So we were there, in July.
Right.
But we are no longer there.
Yep. Okay, thanks, Matt, for the update. Can I move on? Does anyone have any questions? No. And I would next like to just ask if any neighbors have any updates or concerns that they want to discuss tonight before we move on with our agenda. Okay. So next would be the infrastructure. There really hasn't been much going on. I think our biggest infrastructure update was the meeting with FPNL today, which we've waited for a long time for. Otherwise, we're still waiting on a traffic study for the rest of Belle Meade. We'd met with someone from the city, was it Matt, or the county, in regards to, the fact that we barely have any speed signs, like speed limit signs. There are no or very little signs of speed limit in the neighborhood, which makes enforcement hard for the police. So we had to drive through with someone and also looking at where we have stop signs and where we don't have stop signs. So just slowly working on, at least getting speed limit signs and potentially more stop signs. But as everyone, I think, knows by now, things take a long, long time to happen. So that's it for infrastructure. Still waiting to hear about the noise enclosure at the pump station. I looked there the other day and it's all ripped up. I guess they're still waiting to repair or replace the valves. Walt, I don't know if you know anything more than I do, but the pump is operational. It's a big hole where the valves are coming up. And I haven't had a response to the last, at least my last email to the city, which sort of coincided with Alan Dodd resigning. So they might have been a little busy, but yeah. Our pump station is operational, but it's ripped open, and we're also still waiting on the noise enclosure. That's it for infrastructure. Any questions on infrastructure?
And hey, it's Michael Loss. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, hi, Michael.
Hey guys, how are you? Regarding infrastructure, there's going to be, our neighborhood falls within the Little River adaptation action area. And so I don't know how many homes in Belle Meade have septic. I don't think it's very much. I think the majority of homes are definitely on sewer. Yeah. But anyone that is on septic, just want to make them aware, if they're not on the call, if we know of them, that there may be grants available to convert their home to sewer. There may be a limited time frame where that's available. So maybe we can advertise that so that people can take advantage of that as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know of any homes in the neighborhood that are still on septic. I think this neighborhood has been on municipal sewers for many, many decades. I may be mistaken.
Yeah, Matt, unfortunately, the house behind me that faces the 76 is on septic, and I think their septic is broken, and often they need to come and take care of it. I thought it was Frank Rollison mentioned to me, because he was in my house once and he smelled horrible things coming from the septic tank. And he mentioned to me that that was illegal to still have a septic tank, but I can tell you that at least I know of one, and it's behind my home, unfortunately. And I don't know what to do about it. So I'm not going to tell my neighbors, but.
Wow, I did not know that.
We do have one. Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, do you know why, Grace? Do you have any idea?
I do know that the owners of that house are trying to get approval to knock down the house and to build a new structure, a 2 or 3 story structure. I don't remember now, but that may be the reason. But nevertheless, it's been like a very difficult process, to be honest with you. When I installed my pool, when the city of Miami was here, when the workers were here and they were working around that area, a few of them mentioned to me that they couldn't work under these conditions. So imagine, how I feel, right? So I don't know if that's the reason, but now that I just learned this new information, I plan to share it with them, that if there's a grant available and cost is the issue, I think that they should take care of it. It's the right thing to do.
For sure, yeah. Michael, are you able to send me something in regards to this potential grant?
Nothing is published yet.
Okay.
I just happen to know a little bit about what's coming. So what I will do is I'll keep you abreast and just ensure that Belle Meade, is made aware of any opportunities to pursue like grants or special funding vehicles to convert their homes.
Perfect. Great. Thank you for letting us know. Okay, anyone else on any infrastructure concerns? Okay, then I think we can move on to events. Doggy parade's coming up. Any questions, Grace? Anything you need from the HOA to help make it happen?
No, Courtney has been amazing. We have been working together. We just had a chat today. We have we're going to meet on Thursday to go over the logistics. So everything is in order. I'm hoping that everybody will come out. This is an outdoor event. I'm also going to be hosting an after party, which is called Puptail Pop Party. So I hope, and it's a fundraiser, Tito's is sponsoring. I contributed this beautiful vinyl sign, which is inside our doggy parade right now, that I hope everybody got a chance to see. It's also the flyer that I have behind me that was distributed through the Biscayne Times. So I printed those out of my own printer as a contribution to the HOA in our efforts to make this neighborhood really beautiful for our kids and also for pets and families. So, because it's still, regardless of the septic tank, regardless of the underground, the power outages is still one of the best neighborhoods in the world. So we have to keep it happy, happy thoughts, happy, let's get along, let's do this for our neighbors, for our kids, for our dogs, cats, doesn't matter. Let's have some fun, because I think this neighborhood needs to have fun. And since this is being recorded, I have a piece of information that's going to make a lot of my neighbors really happy, at least a lot of them that have passed by and talked to me about my competitive side of, competing and dressing up my family and my pets to win #1. We're not competing this year. So the prize is up for grabs. So please make sure that you outdo yourselves in making those doggies look amazing. So we're not competing. So first place is all yours.
Sounds good. Thanks, Grace. Thanks so much for, putting this together. Thanks, Courtney, too.
Thank you, Grace. That's so nice.
Grace has done an amazing job, really. And the Women for Paws organization has really touched my life, and she's done a lot of amazing things for the neighborhood. So well done, Grace. And I'm happy to work with you on anything you need. Truly.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, on that note, we were chatting briefly today, Courtney, until I got interrupted by the train, that we do, now that COVID is hopefully mostly past us, we as a neighborhood, I think, need to get together more, need to resume our events and come together, get to know each other. There's many new neighbors that have come into the neighborhood, and I think it's important, like you said, to pick that back up and start getting together again. And with that, I want to bring up the holiday party, which we have not talked about. We have not planned anything, but I think it's important that we try to put one together this year.
What about a bazaar? I know that Sean was going to put another event on with Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Was that still in the works? Have you heard anything?
I have not heard anything, no.
Okay. So
I can reach out to them. You can reach out. I can reach out. Do you want to reach out?
I mean, if you want to, you're literally right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Either way.
You can reach out. I'll leave it up to you. You're saying in replacement of a holiday party or in combination with a holiday party?
No, in lieu of, or in conjunction with. So I would do one in November and another one in December.
Mm-hmm.
If we can.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the last holiday party we threw was at the park. We've thrown, the last couple of holidays parties we've thrown were in the park. We're maybe more kid-centric. And this is something that we can discuss what we would want to do this year. We haven't done anything last year, obviously, but what are everyone's thoughts on what we might be able to do this year?
So in past years, something very unique used to happen in our neighborhood that we selected like a block, for instance, and a lot of the neighbors put out a 6-foot table and cocktails or whatever they wanted to offer, chips, cookies, whatever they wanted to do. And it was really cool how everybody went to everybody's home, you know, of course, outside in the street. And that was kind of like really neat. I don't know if you all want to do that, or maybe get a few houses together, you know, to do something very similar. I know that because I have a little bit of pressure with the kids in Belle Meade, that because I brought Santa last year to our home, I'm doing that again. So that'd be Sunday, December 19th. And that's something that I think I'm going to continue doing for the kids, so they can see Santa live. I did that because all the malls were closed and nobody could do anything, but that was really joyful. So that's something that I would put out there as well. But I think that, you know, having a holiday party, it's really, really good, whether it's in somebody's home or in a big corner like 76th Street or 8th and 7th here on 74th. I mean, anywhere really, whether we select the doggy park, whether we select the kid park, it doesn't matter. The idea is about getting together and just, you're right, we have a lot of new neighbors and we don't really know who they are.
Correct.
I would suggest that we do the kids park, and I know some people have concerns about social distancing, and I think we'll be able to do it there. And it would actually be my suggestion that we have the city involved. They'll block off 77th Street, and then we could really expand and spread out and still have I think a great atmosphere there.
I agree. And it's a really wide street too. So that would be great.
Mm-hmm. Do we need to get approval from the immediate neighbors, or at least talk to them in advance about it?
I've talked to them in the past and they've been agreeable. I know we have Alex and Jaime back there, and they were definitely receptive to doing that. So I don't think we'll have an issue getting consensus there. And we have Mary Beth all the way back in the corner. So I think that won't be an issue. It's just we have to get the city on board, because they'll pull a permit where they block the street, and the police will come and make sure everything is good for us.
Okay, so I'm writing that part down.
So would we need a permit if we do like the yard sale, like the street sale?
Not anymore.
No, okay.
You used to need a permit, but now you don't.
I think that's great, but obviously we need more buy-in from the whole community, and maybe one point person per street.
Yeah, I think that messaging this and sending out messages early, you know, would help with the efforts that you're trying to make.
Sure.
And the other suggestion I was thinking, maybe we would do it that same weekend that you're planning something, Grace. You were doing it on the 19th, maybe the 18th, that Saturday for the holiday party. That way, if we have neighbors that plan on leaving out of town or whatever, that would still give them time to be a part of the neighborhood, but then do their trips or anything if they wanted to leave the area.
That would be great.
So that's Saturday, the 18th. Okay.
Santa will make an appearance though, because I'm saving him for the 19th.
Okay. Well, I think we still have the Grinch, and usually the fire truck passes through, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, so we could make it official that we're planning this for the December 18th.
For the holiday party.
Yep.
That date works for me.
What time were you thinking?
Probably 4 to 6, or you know, that might get a little late in terms of we were a little bit in the dark last time. I feel like it got dark.
Yeah, but I think if we recruit Frank and a couple of the other neighbors, we were able to put up lights before, and I think we missed out on that last time. So if we can get the lights up, we can go a little later. Plus, it's cooler because 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't think we want to be fighting the heat. So if we go 4, I think we're going to be late in the evening, and that helps.
Okay. Um, I'm writing this down. Courtney, you're our social and events director. Can you take the bull by the horn for this? Maybe we can send out an email or a WhatsApp to see if any neighbors want to volunteer, if we don't know enough that might volunteer. Anyone who's still in the meeting, you know, if any of you want to volunteer, you can contact us directly after the meeting for the holiday party if you have ideas or anything to contribute.
Yeah, because I know we need volunteers to fill the doggy bags and to help with the trophies, the water. We still need to purchase all of those items, so.
Okay, so you're still looking for volunteers for the doggy parade as well?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so anyone who's on this, if you hear this, you know, you can certainly contact either me directly, or if you have Courtney's information, contact Courtney. If you can volunteer, if you're interested in volunteering. And then otherwise I would send it out again through the Google email. It might have gotten lost, just a call for volunteers directly on the chat group and on the Google group. Okay.
Sounds great. Yeah, we definitely need more volunteers and a community effort.
Got it. And we have a lot of animal lovers, so that there shouldn't be a shortage. It might have just gotten lost in sending out the messages. Okay. All right.
Okay.
And I think we can move on. Mike, is Mike still around? Mike's still around. I don't think you have much in terms of financial. I don't think we had any new.
No,
members, right?
since the last meeting, we just had one new senior member, and then Margaret's expenses for the dog poop bags.
Mhm.
And that's it. We're still sitting with net $4,900 and $49.30 when we take the account minus the pet fund.
Got it.
So we'll be in good shape to help out the parties. Say again, Walt?
No, I was just gonna check with Courtney and see if she's checked the box lately. I think we may have some checks here.
I need to go. I had every intention of going, so I will make it a priority.
Okay.
And we ended up with 13 more members than last year. That was nice.
This is great.
Extra
Yeah.
$245 in revenue. We're
Yeah.
down 11 members in the pet donations.
Yeah.
So, but we
Yeah.
still have $979 there.
And this is perhaps something we need to discuss during the next meeting or the last meeting. I don't know what if that just rolls over into next year.
That's what I think they've been doing. Yeah.
I also think in the past there have been some donations made with money that we have left in the funds, but there's something maybe to talk about. Either roll over or make donations or both. Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
The last topic I have here is the topic of elections. Anyone who's still on, if you've thought of becoming a board member, I'm going to send out an email and also on the chat group the request for interested residents to send in their 2-sentence description. I will also send the job descriptions out again so that you can take a look to see what it would take to be a board member. And there's going to be some deadlines associated with that for when we need the job, the candidate's description, and then we're going to develop voting sheets. We want to have this all wrapped up by the annual meeting on December 14th, which is going to be in person in Legion Park. So I will send all of this out by email to the Google group, to the members, to the WhatsApp group, and hopefully we get some fresh blood of neighbors that are interested in helping, being on the board, being involved, and yeah, helping to keep our community engaged, and also in touch with city, county, FPNL, and all of our friends out there. So hopefully people will be interested in running for a position. So look out for an email on that. And yeah, just to let you know, you'll have about 2 weeks to send out your description to me if you're interested in running for a position. And anyone can always contact me directly if they're thinking about it, but they're not sure and they have questions. You can always send me an email or call me, and I can try to help. Okay. And that's essentially it for our meeting. It's been a long meeting having FPNL here. I'm thankful
Been a
that
lot to
everyone
cover. You did
attended.
great.
Yes, I'm glad we had a lot of attendance from the residents. I wasn't sure how many people were getting my emails because I didn't really get much feedback. So I'm glad a lot of people attended. And as frustrating as it is, at least we heard it directly from them. And there's the rumor mill that goes around, I think was really difficult to handle. So I'm glad we got answers directly from FPNL, however strange they might be, but at least it came from FPNL and not, just residents talking amongst each other. So thanks everyone for attending. Does anyone have any other questions or comments tonight?
I wanted to say thanks, Anne, for all that organization and keeping the meeting running.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else?
Appreciate it, Anne. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for.
Thank
All right,
you all.
have a good night,
Thank
everybody.
you for all that
Thank
you
you.
do.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care,
Good
neighbors.
night.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.